Never thought I would say this. There is good news for Prince Andrew. He could escape any liability related to sex assault allegations against him and his friend, the late Jeffrey Epstein. Virginia Giuffre claims the prince had sex with her when she was just 17, but Epstein signed a settlement with Virginia in 2009, which shields him and any others, including the prince, from any liability. This settlement has been under seal, but could be made public just after the new year. All right, Karen Conti, legal analyst, founder of the Conti law firm, joins us now. Does this smell as much as it seems on its face?
Well, I just think the whole thing smells. Of course.
Yeah, no kidding.
Okay, and so the prince is saying, I didn't know this girl, but if I did, I didn't have sex with her. But if we did, then she was under 18, but more than 17. And if I did have sex with her, well, maybe it's unconstitutional, the whole law there. And then finally, now we have a settlement agreement that pops up. So he's got lots of defenses. And why haven't we seen the settlement agreement? Shouldn't that have been front and center of his defense from day one?
Right, and if I didn't know her, how did I end up with this picture of me and her together with Leland Maxwell? Maxwell's on trial right now. What's surprising is what hasn't been said in this trial, right? There haven't been all these questions about Prince Andrew and about Bill Clinton and about Bill Gates and about Alan Dershowitz and all the famous people connected to Epstein who spent time on his planes and in his islands and allegedly with some of his girls.
Well, I think they brought it up just a little bit to show that the girls had reason to believe that Epstein was an up-and-up character. Hey, there was Donald Trump, there was Bill Clinton. I mean, these were very important people and prominent people, so I felt I could trust them. And I think that's how those presents, were being used. But this whole thing is just a circle of really tawdry behavior that...
Well, yeah, and also the very, very lenient settlement agreement that Epstein signed with the federal government, so he didn't get prosecuted. He only pled to one count. How is it that Epstein signed a settlement with Virginia in 2009, shields him from any liability? How does an agreement between other people shield a third party who allegedly had sex with a minor?
Well, I'm speculating that what the agreement said was that Jeffrey Epstein was going to pay a certain amount of money and that, in effect, Giuffre was going to release not only Epstein, but all of his cohorts, meaning maybe Maxwell and maybe his other people who were there at the time. So Epstein was trying to do something to protect his buddies so they wouldn't get in trouble either. That's my guess, if, in fact, the agreement says what we think it says.
Which is a big if, and obviously we're going to find out. The fact that the prosecutors, though, haven't asked more of the women who testified in the Maxwell trial, what'd you do with Donald Trump when you met him at Mar-a-Lago? What were your interactions with Bill Clinton like? On and on and on. What were your interactions with Prince Andrew like? Did you meet him? Did you go to London, et cetera? What does that tell you about the prosecution?
Well, I think they have to focus on what they can prove. And if they can't prove something, why throw it out there? Why throw out that Donald Trump is involved in this when there's no proof that he is? Same with Bill Clinton. I mean, those people were there and there's a purpose for them being mentioned. But I think the prosecution wants to keep this case clean. There were these victims and Ghislaine Maxwell participated in, trafficked the girls, brought them in, and actually participated in some of the sexual activity, which was kind of a surprising fact to me.
Interestingly enough, the prosecution rested on Friday. The defense is going right now. We thought the prosecution was going to last a long time. Now the defense says they may have 35 witnesses. It feels as though the defense is pretty confident right now, and we may never get an answer to all of these questions about Bill Clinton and Prince Andrew and everybody else.
We may never know. Those little black books that were there and then they weren't there. I mean,
the hard drives, the pictures, the CDs, they're all gone.
And when Jeffrey Epstein killed himself, that whole thing is gone too. So this case is going to have a lot of questions that are going to go unanswered for a long time.
Yeah, unless Maxwell takes the stand, we shall see. Then we'll have a lot to talk about, a whole show perhaps. Karen, good to see you.
Good to see you, Leland. Take care.
All right. Thanks for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.